I would say that the Romans had a pretty tough, little over 400 years, beginning at 474 BC. The Roman Council, Aulus Manlius Vulso, celebrated an ovation. Now, an ovation was granted when war wasn't officially declared between enemies quite at the level of nations or states fighting each other, but you win. The enemy was considered inferior, but you won. But what he really won against Veli was a 40-year truce. And so he got an ovation for it. I think that's what you ought to get an ovation for, is making peace. Now, he concluded a war. There was a war, so you have to go back before 474 BC to keep track of the tough times. But what we're celebrating today is they had 40 years of peace. 200 BC, the Roman Republic, under its new consuls, Publius Sulpicius Galba and Gaius Aulus, probably didn't say that right, Cotta, declared war on Philip V of Macedon, and they started a war. And it was the Second Macedonian War. This one was fought by Philip and Rome, and they had their allies, and the other side had their allies, but it was war. And then you roll down the years, over 150 years to 44 BC, and you're still having tough times because Julius Caesar, the dictator of the Roman Republic, on the Ides of March, remember how, and that's the middle of March, right? The middle of the month of March, you're halfway through the March, when you're halfway through the day, and on the Ides of March, and Shakespeare said, beware the Ides of March. Julius Caesar was assassinated on that day, 44 BC. Julius Caesar, Roman dictator, assassinated by a group of senators during the Senate session at the Curia of Pompeii, located within the Theater of Pompey in Rome, led by friends. Now, March wasn't good for at least 3 dates for that millennial. And so you move forward through history, and in 351, Constantius Gallus is elevated to Caesar, and then he's sent to Antioch. 493, Odoacer, the first barbarian king of Italy, after the fall of the Roman Empire, he's killed by Theodoric the Great, king of the Ostrogoths. And you just read of war after war, a truce and a war and a treaty and a war and another war and flooding and somebody overturning somebody else. And finally, you get to something that's as bland and positive as 1820, when Maine is admitted as the 23rd U.S. state. And you may have thought that Maine was a part of the original 13, but it wasn't. And the rain in Maine is mainly in the plain, they say. In 1823, sailor Benjamin Morel erroneously reported the existence of the island of New South Greenland near Antarctica, and he was wrong. And in 1848, a revolution breaks out in Hungary, and the Habsburg rulers are compelled to meet the demands of the Reform Party. Those Habsburgs had it good for a while. They just took over things and ruled things and did whatever they wanted. Did you know that in 1874, on this day, March 15th, 1874, trouble began. Viet Ding Dang Nam, Vietnam, and France signed the Second Treaty of Saigon. And you thought it was 100 years later when the trouble got started. But it further recognized the sovereignty of France over one of the regions there in Vietnam. Lots of stuff in the news if you go back far enough. In 1917, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia abdicated the Russian throne and he ended a 304-year Romanov dynasty. But his opponents didn't think that was good enough, so they murdered him and his whole family. A civil war began in Finland in 1918, the Finnish Civil War, and a battle ensued. There was a Ukrainian war for independence in 1919. You see, most of our troubles are not recent in their origin. They have a history. And sometimes the history just goes so far back. I want to say a good word for President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965. He made a lot of mistakes. One of them was the response to Vietnam. That was the big one, wasn't it? But in 1965, on this date, he responded to the Selma crisis and he told the U.S. Congress, and I know he didn't come up with this phrase, "We shall overcome." And he advocated the Voting Rights Act. And it's back in the news, isn't it? We have seen a systematic dismantling of the Voting Rights Act. We have seen a systematic move toward voter suppression, away from voter rights, under the guise of election integrity. The integrity of our elections has seldom been in question, but we'll do anything we can to suppress the rights of people. Well, there you go. In 1767, Andrew Jackson was born. He was a general, a judge, politician, seventh president of the United States. And in my opinion, he was a bit of a bully. In 1824, Jules Chevalier, a French priest, founded the Missionaries of the Sacred Heart, was born. And Edvard Strauss, the great composer, was born in 1835. And, you know, a lot of people were born on the 15th of March. Reza Shah, the Iranian Shah, he was the father of the Shah who was deposed during our lifetime, my lifetime. 1878, he was born. Jackson Schultz was born in 1897. He was an American runner. He was an Olympian. He was a great American hero. And so it goes. And so it goes. The 15th of March, here we are in 2026. It's the feast day of Aristobulus of Britannia. It's the feast day of Lucretia, one of the martyrs of Cordoba, 48 Christian martyrs executed in 850 and 859, somewhere in that time. It's Constitution Day in Belarus. In Liberia, they're celebrating the birthday of Joseph Jenkins Robbins. and it's National Day in Hungary, which celebrates the Hungarian Revolution of 1848. It's World Consumer Rights Day. Think about that every time you want to complain about being mistreated at your local market. And it's Youth Day and Palau. And so, in closing, congratulations to all the youth in Palau and all the youth around the world. And may your youth be sustained. May all of you enjoy the blessings of youth today and every Wednesday in America.